Hmm? Is it better now?
The camera quality, it looks like the same to me.
Looks like the same. Okay. Then,
Wait, the
Sorry.
camera is coming from Jack's Discord, right?
The camera is coming from Jet Discord. We borrowed his
Right.
account for the
Which
boosted
yeah.
channel.
Yeah, which means the camera is connected to his laptop, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it's my laptop, but it's
Okay.
just the same.
Sure.
Let me
Let's
check
see if you
can.
see if you can switch it to a higher end phone, because like a webcam is not designed for this type of setting.
Agree. So actually, we are going to do this.
Okay, sure.
Next round. Yeah.
Sure.
We just want to see if we have any way to set a higher resolution for the webcam.
Sure, that's going to be a driver most likely. Or if it's like a Logitech one, then it'd be like under the Logitech capture.
Capture. Oh.
Yeah. Depends on.
But the webcam is not Logitech this time.
Sure.
Okay, Josh, we are live right now.
Okay. Hello, everybody. A little bit of technical issues. We are trying to sort that out right now. We're also looking to get the camera swapped, if possible. Looks like we're still like in the middle of round one, so we got some time to chit chat and make sure everything is okay. I guess a lot of the stream is just going to be, us just chit chatting while we wait for the games to start, or for the or for the tech issues to resolve themselves. But yeah, so yeah, that first game was actually pretty interesting in that, like, we got to see the power of Reiner against Wizard, and we got to see that, even though Icelander had Storm Striders, like, losing Aether Ice Fane and Hypo probably hurts more than we think it does. Like, if you think about, like, how many blue ice cards are there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, losing 3 or 2 copies of Hypothermia, right? Like, you're probably already running like all the max blue ice cards you can, like, kind of like Frigid, Ice Bolt, and Aether Hell, stuff like that, right? So,
right,
losing, not only did you lose the red Aether Ice Vein, which is important for tempo, like, Aether Ice Vein is not a nice card, right? So, I guess I'm talking more about Hypothermia here. Like, it may look really innocent on the surface, but I think those 2 cards were like it's like, all right, here you go, Icelander, you can have your Storm Striders back. We're going to take away some of your toys. Keep you in line. Yeah.
Ice Vein was the best, like, on-demand disruption, other than maybe Channel Lake Frigid, that Icelander had. So any deck that can apply, that doesn't play on the axis of, like, just straight efficiency, Wounded Bull for 8 is kind of like, Icelander's game plan in a sense. Anything that breaks that, like Reiner, where, it's Intimidate, and I'm going to force you to keep certain cards that may not allow you to play on that efficiency game plan, just really hamper that. And the only way Icelander used to counter that is, okay, I'll Ice Vein you and I'll disrupt you and stop what you're doing. And now she doesn't have access to that. So,
yeah, like, a lot of her defense was actually tied with her. I mean, she doesn't have armor like most of the top tier blitz heroes do. So she basically had to rely on frostbites and things like CLF and hypothermia and Aetherized Feign to get her over the line. Do we think that so not only were there changes for Icelander, there were also changes for Kano. Like they gave him back Storm Striders, but then they took away Aether Wildfire. So what do we think about that?
I think it puts Kano in a more like sustained game plan rather than just straight burst. I mean, obviously you have the closing power of Storm Striders, but just maybe that new aura that you set up for one cost, maybe off of a tunic counter, since you're not as dependent on saving the tunic counter for Storm Striders, and then set up that +3. Yeah, setting that card up and then hitting like a flare on your turn. I think what it does is it forces Kano to play more on his turn instead of the opponent. I think is the biggest thing.
And I think we actually might see Storm Striders being used on their own turn more. And then if one of the things with Icelander is that when she has no arsenal, no Storm Striders, there's no surprises, right? But if we put Kano into the same situation we just saw, and let's say Kano had no arsenal, no Storm Striders, he could easily kill Reiner at 2 or 1 or whatever Reiner was at. Blind Kano, as long as it's not Eye of Ophidia or just Eye of Ophidia, I guess, in Blitz.
Yep.
You can probably find a little bit of damage to get there. So another thing is Wizard actually got like a new weapon, and they got 2 new weapons, right? Surging Aethertide and Searstone. I just pulled it up here. So Surging Aethertide, once per turn action for 2 energy, deal an arcane damage to an opposing hero. Go again. The first card you play each turn with an arcane damage effect instead deals that much arcane damage plus X, where X is the damage dealt by Surging Aethertide this turn. Is it better than Crucible? Unclear.
I would say not.
It here's the thing, Wizard Kano actually has a lot of sideboard slots in Blitz. So if there's a fringe case where this is somewhat usable, maybe in the mirror, I maybe it's a mirror type of thing. I don't actually know. Because when you go for it in a Kano mirror, you generally lose your AB. So Surgeon Aethertide, if you have the resources, is actually just extra damage. So it's possible. And then the other one is completely different. It's Searstone for an action for 3. Look at the top card of your deck and you put it on the bottom. Create a Ponder token, which is an aura that says at the beginning of your end phase, destroy Ponder and draw a card. So Searstone sounds like my first instinct is you get to set up some ridiculous pitch stack if you want, possibly.
That's what when I look at Searstone, I'm thinking you blocked 9 damage and you have 1 card left in hand that's a blue. And you're essentially, because the Ponder token just allows you to draw at your end phase, and then you can arsenal that card basically. So what I'm thinking is maybe you have that blue in your hand, but you're trying to arsenal a good red, So that's essentially taking 2 looks at getting that arsenal and that good red card. Which goes in line with that more sustained Kano arcane damage plan that I was talking about earlier.
Yep.
But giving up Crucible for that it's a tall ask. Not super fond of it.
Crucible just creates amazing 2-card hands. We have Swell Tidings, right, which is just a strict upgrade to Voltic Bolt, right?
Yep.
Crucible into Swell Tidings, you can't take 6 arcane damage that much, right?
No.
It does seem a little too fair though, in a sense, because it's you're trading 2 cards for 6 arcane damage. right? So, but then you start at 15 life, and they start at 20, right? So it's like,
Right.
if it feels like if you keep on throwing swell tidings, voltic bolts at them, ice bolt if you're Icelander, like that doesn't quite get there because of the life deficit, unless you utilize the storm striders properly. So I think that's
Well,
kind of like a puzzle that the Kano has to figure out.
the surge mechanic in and of itself, I think the job that it's doing from like a development standpoint is it's really just forcing the opponent to interact with you. Which makes, like, if the wizard and blitz was still oriented around combo, having cards that forces your opponent to interact with you and having the ability to combo is a very bad mix. That's just too good. But if you force the wizards into the sustain plan, I think it's perfectly okay to have cards that say Swell Tidings is basically a snatch for 6 for 2 cards if you add a Crucible on it. And so, like, that's perfectly fine, because it's basically saying, look, I start at less life, but you are going to give me a card every turn. And if you don't bring AB, then then that's
okay. So this might be how LSS is trying to balance Wizard. They're like, there's too much shenanigans. We can't balance Blitz and CC properly. So let's put the surge mechanic into the game and maybe stop printing a few cards with certain effects, like Stir the Aether Wind, Snapback, right? Rein them in a bit, make them a little bit more fair, but then give them like a bonus against people that don't have Arcane Bear, or a bonus against people that like want to keep their whole hand, right? Like a snatch effect. It's actually very, very interesting. Yeah.
And it also gives play for Wizard into matches that are historically very bad. Think about like Rune Blades, right? When they have access to Spell Void, right? Well, Spell Void against a sustain Wizard build that is surging every turn is not that good, especially if you don't have at least AB1. That's going to hurt, because you're going to stop that first Swell Tiding or whatever, but what about the second and the third and then the Mind Warp that comes after that? And it gives play back into those types of matchups that have historically been Runeblade favored for sure.
Well, looks like round 2 has. Do you recognize that deck box on the right, Nathan?
On the right. That's the same one you got.
Yellow handles.
Yeah.
It's very popular in Hong Kong. I think
The
it
old
might be on the
tackle
left
box.
of the stream. Yeah, the tackle box. Yeah.
And
look at that, clicky clickies, as Quack would like to say.
Is that the
This is
same
Blue
deck
Pitch.
box?
That is a Blue Pitch life counter. This is somebody from Team Blue Pitch.
Okay.
Or this is a buddy of Team Blue Pitch who was given a. Did they give you some of their tokens? I actually have some of their tokens here.
Yep, I got some of those.
Yeah, I and these are like the right weight. Like
I do like them. Yep.
Like these plastic as the resource token. Like, okay, it's not metal tokens, right? But there's actually something to be said for like the weight of it is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I will definitely be using my Blue Pitch tokens from time to time. All right. As we can, another thing that I can point out here is that odd even has not caught on in Hong Kong.
Well, I guess there's
a lot of cultural differences. Yeah.
I'm back.
Hey, Jackie, you're back. All right.
The round 2 feature table is Jack versus 5.
Jack versus 5.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about Fi the hero. Yeah,
he's
Fi
using
the player.
Icelander.
Yeah. And that I see now. Yes. I was wondering which blue, like, I just haven't seen Jack in a long time. I should have known, like, Blue Pitch player playing Reiner. That's definitely Jack.
Yeah, it's definitely Jack.
All right, for those of you joining us, the Reinhardt player is Jack Tang, the finalist from that epic 2021 game that I was talking about
That's it.
earlier. This time he's not playing Oldham. He's playing Reiner. And we're going to see another example of Reiner versus Icelander here. I'm down for Reinhardt versus Icelander. I enjoyed
love
watching
it.
this. And
Love it.
and this is going to be a good game to learn. Like, Jack has played Reinhardt just as long as I've played Dorinthia. Like, he knows what he's doing with this deck.
Yes, the good old times.
Good old times. I like to say that it was our classic battle, right?
Yeah, it's the classic battle.
Blue. And look at that, Nathan.
Blue.
What is that boots? What is that boots? Huh?
And Blitz, in this matchup, it made me sense.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what that is beaten trackers. Whenever you discard a random card with 6 or more power, destroy it, gain an action point. Jack does not want to be rolling scabbies here.
Yeah. Well, you may destroy it. You don't have to.
Yeah, he that's the beauty of it. It's like super refraction bolters. And this is going to be disgusting. Jack gets to go first here. No turn 1 frost hex like in the last game. Woo-hoo-hoo.
That's rough.
So, Jackie, have you noticed any updates with the Reinhardt list these days in Hong Kong?
You mean the Reiner deck list?
Yeah, from like using any of the new cards from Dynasty. Like obviously he's using the boots, right?
Yeah, the boots is the first.
Wait, what headpiece is that?
Actually, I saw a new card.
Is that Skullhorn? Okay.
Sorry?
Okay, so Skullhorn, deep blue. So I mean this is actually like we're actually seeing the difference between the round 1 Reinhardt and Jack round 2 Reinhardt. He's running what I think is actually the better loadout in Blitz, which is deep blue beaten trackers. Like, deep blue, like Barkbone strappings can screw you so hard. And you notice that? Look at his arm piece. In the past, that used to have to be Gambler's Gloves. That's Goliath Gauntlet.
Yep.
Like I would love this loadout from Jack. Like
beautiful. And on the note for deep blue, I mean, imagine how many Reiner hands you look at and you're like, man, I have a card that does not have 6 attack and I don't want to risk it. You can deep blue it away, gain those resources, and it's a guarantee. You know, like in this situation where he doesn't have any float, you can still utilize that, which is great.
Beautiful card. Beautiful here. So this is a Blood Rush Bellow turn, right? So
absolutely. That's 5 and 5. So easy.
This is 5 and 5, and it looks like the Icelander player is like, dude, I haven't even ticked up my tunic yet. Leave me alone, dude.
Just wait for the swing big on the end when he pitches for it.
Yep. So I've played against Jack enough to know when he holds his cards like this, he's just waiting. He's just itching to play them.
Yep. That sounds like a swing big to me.
Yep. There's something big coming at the end here, and this Icelander player could be taking a ton of damage here. So let's talk a little bit about the equipment on the other side. So we see Cornet Peak, classic. Tunic to pay for Striders, also classic. Do you like the Metacarpus nodes as the arm choice?
It just depends on the matchup. In this one, I'm not as much of a fan because there's a lot of situations where they're not going to be, pitching into it anyway.
Goliath Gauntlet. Goliath Gauntlet into a pulping.
A pulping. And a reincarnate, so it goes back on the bottom. Not that it's going to matter because the game's not going to last that long. But that is coming in hot for what, 10?
It gets +2 from Blood Rush, +2 from. I think that is for 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the red pulping is 6. So that'd be. Oh goodness.
This is disgusting. We're watching murder live. Oh my goodness. This is why you don't let Reinhardt win the dice roll. That's
Yep. That Icelander starting on what, 3? This reminds me of the
So yeah, this reminds me of Hated Dale's game.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get at. Yep. The world's winning in, yep.
So a lot of people are gonna look at this and be like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely unfair. Well, one, you're playing a hero with like no armor at all. So you basically have no pivot turn as Icelander or as Kano, right? Imagine if he was Kano, he'd be almost dead here, right? He'd be at 2.
He would be dead because he'd have Ragamuffin. Well, they probably don't run Ragamuffin because they can't. But whatever, yeah, he'd be at like 2 or something. It'd be ridiculous.
All right, so I mean, this Icelander is going to have to show us magic here, and like this is part of why I think Reiner is just so strong. Is like there's a portion of games that are not games, and and obviously you have a lot of play in a normal game with Blood Rush Bella with just the quality of the like Reinhardt is kind of similar to Bravo. Like he's been getting good cards slowly over time to the point where you have a lot of choices as Reiner in your deck builds.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right. Classic Bullander here. We got E-Strike coming in for 5 go again, I'm gonna guess. Or did he draw? He has 2 in hand, so I guess he didn't draw. Yeah. So this almost certainly is 5 go again. Actually, maybe not. Maybe not.
But yes, it's 5 go again.
5 go again. Okay, so there's probably something else coming in here. But with 2 cards, that means he's probably not going to have an arsenal, right?
No, I think we're going to see a Cornet Peak to keep Reiner on a 3-card hand. Is what I would guess. So he's just trying to, and I think Jack is realizing that and realizing that he's not going to have much of a turn, and so he's going to go ahead and block this damage here, and or just a Wounded Bull that works too.
Okay. Yeah, like that works too. I was about to say like could it be like a Snatch or I don't even know if they run Snatch, right? That feels like too much, right? You run E-Strike, Wounded Bull,
Scar, and Fighting Spirit.
Scar and Fighting Spirit, right? So you probably don't run Snatch. It's like feels too much, right?
Yeah.
Reckless Swing here, getting the job done. Taken 2. Ouch. It's not every day you get killed as a wizard by Reckless Swing, right? Oh my. All right. This is an opportunity where he has shields down here.
Yeah, but with no arsenal, I mean, there's no way you give Stormstriders at 18, so that we'll just see a pass on priority and let Jack draw up.
Yep. Noticed how fast he blocked with the beaten trackers. He's like, this is probably the only time I'm going to get value from this, and I want to use this ASAP.
Absolutely.
I don't care that this has no on-hit effect. I'm just going to get my value. And he passes back here. Jack drawn up. Back to the Icelander. 15 health deficit here on turn 2.
Oh, the old Beast Within.
Yep. Beast Within, barraging beatdown in his hand. That might be double Beast. No, it's not. Okay, Smash Instinct in hand. Okay. So so as Icelander here, like I guess you just have to send a big attack arsenal, something good, and hope that like a Stormstriders plus something from Arsenal plus Waning Moon gets the job done.
I actually think that if you don't take a card out of Reiner's hand right now, you lose the game. Like that's his number one goal every single turn is just to make sure, because like he takes this and goes to 11, right? He can literally just intimidate you and take. So that it seems like that's what Jack's doing, is just waiting for that hand that he knows he can get through whatever the Icelander is going to present.
Yep, it's totally fine for the turn cycle to be take 1 damage, get an arsenal, send 3 damage at you. Yeah, not exactly in that order, but yeah, like okay, or just okay. So that must have been a blue or yellow barrage beat down there. So
yep,
Smash Instinct doing his Bravo impression here. Not too bad actually.
And we're definitely going to see the Icelander play the Arsenal if he has the ability to, so that way he can pitch the blue card. So maybe it's not playable, but a lot of times Icelanders like to play before the Intimidate triggers, so that way they can get that blue card that they know they're not going to want in their hand, and then go about it that way. But maybe he Arsenaled another big 8 attack or something of that nature.
So of note, I'm gonna guess that Jack is probably just playing one reckless swing, but there's also something to consider. Like if you drop to 2 here, you basically can't use your attack action cards.
Which is probably okay. I mean, that's not the worst.
Yeah, I think at that point you got to play to win, right? So
right.
All right. Some arcane damage coming across here. Pitch and Emeritus Scolding.
Got 6 coming, and we'll see if
Waning Moon. Yep.
See if Jack's got a hand worth keeping. If not, he might utilize that Skullhorn.
Yep. Tunic is at 3 now, so we're gonna there's no restriction there on the Storm Striders, which is nice. You know, some games are so quick that like you don't even get the Tunic to 2 or to 3. All right, Jack taking all that damage. No arsenal here, but looks like he's just gonna go for it. Jack smelling blood here.
Okay, pitching the Reincarnate.
Mm-hmm.
What is... I can't see because of the glare.
Well, it's definitely a card that causes him to... He moved it, but it didn't help. All right, so he has to discard a card, Barraging Bighorn, I believe. Is that Barraging Bighorn?
Yes,
I think it is. So getting discarded there. So he's gonna get his action point here. And
look at that.
Look at that. This is why I picked this card as the best brute card in the set. Like the consistency, maybe not in CC, to be fair.
Sure.
But in Blitz, the consistency of having refraction bolters, basically, it's just too good. This is basically brute refraction bolters. It even blocks for 1 with Battle War.
All right, we got the Icelander in a somewhat tough spot here. I'm assuming that stack is coming in for at least 6, could be more. We can't really identify what the card is. With an action points, the Icelander really has that decision point. Obviously, they have to block here.
So, hey, sorry, the card Jack play should be the Service Swing Yellow.
The what swing?
Savage Swing?
Savage swing. Savage swing. Yeah. Okay. So here I'm like looking at the deep blue here. I think this is gonna be a claw to follow up here. So
yeah, I mean it seems decent.
Like if that's not a blue, it's gonna be deep blue into a blue, basically.
I thought I saw a Wrecking Romp in his hand, so I think it's already a blue, which is pretty good.
Yeah. And just having like the deep blue also like, okay, so Blizzard here, but that doesn't matter. You just got an action point, right? I guess this is just for the Frostbite. Like, it doesn't actually matter. This literally didn't even have go again, so.
Yeah, I mean, the Frostbite does block 3 damage because
the
now
Frostbite does block 3 damage here.
Yep. If the game plan was to claw.
Laying down 6 here.
Yep. So it looks like the Icelander's just trying to buy a little bit more time.
Yep.
So maybe if he was on the deep blue idea, maybe now he's, you know, do I arsenal that card maybe? And kind of.
I mean, you don't want to arsenal. You said it was a blue Wrecker Romp. That's definitely not.
I thought it was. I could be wrong.
I think you just got a punch here for 3.
Oh, they forgot to do the intimidate trigger. So
right. Okay, so Savage Swing here coming in.
Oh,
are they rewinding the game
here?
Okay. Yeah. So I guess that what they're going to talk about is you played the Savage Swing. You discarded a card.
It should have intimidate here, but but Fight forgot the intimidate effect. Then he tried to block for the things. Right. So we are now going to. They are calling the judge to handle this case.
Sure. So one way to look at this is like if Jack puts the beaten trackers onto the stack, has he already forgotten the intimidate trigger in that case? Probably not. But
yes, because that would be after the cost. Because the discard is part of the cost, and then you would respond. Okay. The intimidate trigger responds during the cost pay, and I believe it would be after that resolves. You have then discarded a 6th attack, and you can trigger.
Looks like they've rectified the game state. They've put the intimidate trigger onto the stack here, and we're gonna have a block from the Icelander here to prevent him from dying. Of note, battle hardens are played at like the middle level of so you're like your armories, I guess armories are like the lowest level of
it's casual, competitive, and professional, right? So it's
this is a competitive level event. I don't know if that made any difference during the judge call, but sometimes sometimes it does, right? All right, so I guess the Icelander player here just has to block, right? And then take a claw with another block, right?
Yeah, and then you're left with a random card.
Okay, so Ice Eternal being blocked there, going down to 1, pitching here, gonna claw. So he has 1 float here because he has to pay for the frostbite, or no float maybe. Looks like no float.
He has one. Okay. He has 1 floating. He should.
Yeah,
but it's irrelevant.
Okay, taking Tunic here, maybe. I mean, the Cornet Peak plus the Tunic could block this here. That would let the Icelander keep a 3-card hand, which probably could strike back for decent damage, right? And then maybe he could get a window where he can kill him with Stormstriders.
Yeah, if there was the situation that the card that was intimidated was a red card, then it almost forces the Icelander into that line, because if that's just a red card and that's the only card they have left, then they just have to pass turn, and that's obviously not where the Icelander player wants to be. So
looks like, I mean,
Jack first
is basically
new card.
Shields down here. Jack picking it up. What is that?
All right, so that is Aether Quickening. I can't tell what color it is, but I'm assuming it's blue. And that says
deals 2.
It deals 2, and if it deals 2 or more than 2 damage, it gains go again, which is obviously not relevant because it's not his
gain action points on your opponent's turn. That would make Wizard even more confusing if they could do that.
Ooh, okay. So trying to get Jack to a low life total with the Aether Hail and the Waning Moon to follow for 6. Really just trying to put him at the threshold with Stormstriders on the next turn.
But he's not going to have a card for Arsenal, right?
Correct. So he's just trying to get him down to a level where the brute player has to be cognizant of how much they present.
So, you know what I'm thinking a little bit more now? That deep blue may come back to haunt him right now, because the deep blue, you activate it, put a card on the bottom, and you don't gain the resources until that layer resolves, right? So look, here we go. Deep blue putting a card to the bottom. Almost certainly the Icelander player here is going to react if he can go for a kill here. Although Jack still has 2 cards, right? So
yeah, I don't think you can with 2 cards, and I think Jack knows that.
Yeah, with AB2, he's effectively at like 9. I don't see any way without an Arsenal. I don't see a way to deal 9 here. Like, he could Stormstriders into like Ice Bolt and then Waning Moon. That's only 8.
No, I think the biggest red is Emeritus Scolding if they run the reds, and I think that comes in for 6 if it's your opponent's turn, and then another 3, so it'd be 9. So yeah, he's short in every sense of the matter. So,
all right, another light card being played here.
And another new card.
Blood Rush Bellow. Okay.
Yep.
Blood Rush Bellow discarding. What is that? Is that
that is Skull Crusher, which gains a resource when it's discarded, which is great here because now Jack has 2 cards floating. Therefore, not.
Isn't that Skull Crack?
Skull Crusher.
Is it? Okay, sure. So really, that looks like the art of Skull Crack.
Or Skull Crack, Skull Crusher, whatever that. Yeah. The one that gains a resource. That one
gains a resource. That's a good card.
Yeah. So he'll go back up to 3.
Yeah, one resource in Reiner is a pretty big difference, actually. So this is going to allow him to claw if he wants, or all right. So we're going to draw 2, gain an action point here. This is okay. Looks like we got a beast within, I believe. That eye sitting in the middle of Jack's thumb. Gonna start with a claw. I like it. I like this a lot. It's coming in for 5. Yep. This is going to demand 2 cards, or for the Icelander player to go. Have to lay down 6 here.
That's
GG.
It. He knew it.
Well played from Jack, as always. I really liked his equipment choice. Like,
I did too.
In Blitz, I think that's really, really, really clever. And so, yeah, Jack takes that. Probably he is 2-0 at the moment. For those of you guys just joining us, hello, welcome. This is the Hong Kong Battle Hardened. Jackie, do you know how many rounds today's Battle Hardened is going to be? You said there's 70 players, right? 7 rounds into a top 8. Okay. So that means they're not playing any extra rounds. So it is kind of do or die every round. So, yeah. So, 7-round Battle Hardened is going to be pretty quick, actually. So, looks like they've replaced the phone with a giant-ass tablet that's taken up half the combat chain. I don't know how I feel about that. Certain heroes need half the combat chain, right? You can't.
What are the fives gonna do? What are they gonna do?
Yeah, what are they gonna do? Like they're gonna have to loop, you're gonna have to loop around the corner, right? 3, go again. 4, go again. 2,
that video is so great. I wish I could
again.
shout out who did that video, but it was the funniest thing.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. All right. So like I said, we have 70 people playing, and I just saw the stream. There's some pictures. Yeah, looks like we have this looks like one of those classic high school theater stages, kind of like areas. Yeah. But yeah. Yep. So the round timer is not 48 minutes. Oh, looks like we have a breakdown. Prism dash Icelander Kasai leading the way there. Reinhardt, Oldhim, Ira rounding out the pack. So that's another thing to note. Like, a lot of the Hong Kongers are very old school. So Ira, I can definitely see, Ira being a popular choice there. But yeah, so do you have the pie chart kind of pulled up, Nathan? Do you see it?
Yep. I do.
Okay, so first we got Icelander at 12. No surprise. A lot of people may be thinking that Icelander is stronger now than it was before, even though with the bans of hypothermia and Aether Ice Vein, getting the Storm started back might be a big buff. But so there's a lot of people playing Icelander there. Of note, there's 11 Prisms there.
Oh, Prism's just too good. Prism's too good.
This is how you know that the metagame is that you see the Oldhim percentage be low and the Prism percentage be high.
Right.
That's how you know this blitzed metagame is fairly advanced. Another thing to note, we got Dash. Dash at 10. Dash got a lot of good toys. But in Blitz, you got to play a little bit linear. So what do you think about Dash in Blitz?
Dash, you're almost on the aggro plan for sure. You probably have a situation where against certain decks, you can swap out if you're worried about the fatigue. But the thing that the biggest surprise to me is the non-Kasais. That was a deck
You know
that
what I'm noticing here? There are no Dorinthias there. What is going on, Hong Kong?
they prefer two weapons, I guess. I don't know.
I guess so. Yeah, 9 Kasai's does seem like a lot of Kasai, actually.
Yeah, somebody in chat asked who is
Yeah.
commentating. That would be Joshua Lau and Nathan Crawford from the Card Guys. Josh knows a lot of the guys over in Hong Kong, so he was lucky enough to extend that opportunity to us and let us commentate this for you guys.
Mhm. Okay, let's talk about like a little bit of the more spicy heroes. So it looks like we got a Bolton. I'm not going to comment much on that, even though I'm a Bolton main. Good luck, my brother. We got a pair of Bravos, and this is another sign of a very, very healthy or advanced metagame. Is the chain is at 3.
Yep.
Like in terms of raw power, chain is actually ridiculous, right? But if you look at this metagame, like chain does not want to run. Like maybe you want to run into Icelander without hypo, maybe, but it's still not super favored for you. Prism has access to ALS. Like, I mean, does this metagame actually look that bad for chain?
I mean, I think it just goes to show how well LSS has balanced Blitz so far. To have an aggro hero that has carry and husk not be 50% of the field, just goes to show that they've done a very good job in balancing every aspect. Because I mean, chain starts at what 2, 3. That's 5 to 9, 6. That's 11 plus those creepers. That's 12. He starts at 32 effective life, which is insane, and then has free go again and extra cards from the banished zone. And the fact that there's only 3 people playing with that, I mean, obviously it means that somebody has found a vulnerability within that hero that is exploitable, whether it be fatigue, maybe disruption, whatever the case may be.
Sure. All right. Rounding out our kind of more obscure heroes, we got a single copy of Dromai. I just feel like that hero is not in a good place in a 20 life format, but we'll see. We got a pair of Phais. Of note, Pouncing Lynx is banned in Blitz. So that's probably why we see such a low 5 percentage, even though that deck is quite strong. We got 3 Kanos. All right. So it looks like a 4-to-1 ratio in the Icelander to Kanos. So there's a decent chance we see a Kano. And then finally we got 2 Levias. This hero actually is stronger than it looks in Blitz. This hero actually, if you don't have the right disruptive hand or the right hand to pressure damage quick enough, Levi can actually put you on the back foot and just keep you there for like forever. So
I mean, two Levias in this tournament basically means that there's a good chance that Man Saint hopped over the pond to to play in this event. But on a serious note, I mean, she doesn't have the intimidate mechanic like Reiner does, but she has. I respected Levia when somebody at a local armory Howl from Beyond turn 1 into a Nourishing Emptiness. And then I proceeded to lose that game very quickly. 9 dominate, draw an extra card is pretty decent, But yeah, she has a lot of burst potential, and then obviously Husk is a card. So
right. Yeah. So overall, what do you think about this metagame?
I'm thinking that you basically, when you're going to your hero selection, I think you have the first thing you need to do is, if you are not playing Prism, can you beat Prism? And then you go from there to Icelander. And as long as you have an answer to both of those decks, I think you're in a decent spot, which is why we are seeing Reiner do so well so far.
Yes.
Is he has a solid answer into both of those decks. And then also Kasai. Kasai is not a bad matchup for Reiner because she wants to play that longer game, kind of grind you out with value and then combo with blood on her hands. And you
can play
basically
as Reiner, right?
Yeah, well, you just disrupt her. You intimidate the card that's not Blade Runner, right? And then now it's either take 3 extra life or lose your go again, and you put her in those situations. So,
yep. Interesting.
As far as the dash, though, I mean, the knee-jerk reaction is they just have to be aggro dash, right? There's not enough life. There's not enough runway, if you will, to establish any type of board state. The mech would take too long being at 20 life.
This is actually where I actually think, so in CC, I think if you run Talishar instead of Hanabi Blaster, you're crazy. But I think in Blitz, it probably makes sense to run Talishar because you're very unlikely to get 3 uses out of you just don't have enough deck to get 3 uses out of Hanabi Blaster.
Yeah, I mean, the way you can break that down is you would have to get 3 shots out of Hanabi Blaster, you would have to boost 3 times in 6 turns, which requires what? 3 times 6. That would be 18, and then plus the card that you're playing, that's 36. So that is your entire deck that you have to boost away and not miss a beat to be able to get 3 swings out of it. So I think you're correct. You have to run Talishar if you're going on that super aggro plan.
Yep. Well, I can tell you guys right now, it looks like they're getting another camera set up for you guys. So we are going to be,
we're upgrading.
We're upgrading our camera. Round 3, we're going to get a better camera.
That's right.
When we get to the quarterfinals, we'll be, using something even better. I'm really did Prism gain anything? Oh, Soraya. Yeah. She did, right? Do you play Soraya in Blitz? Maybe not. A yellow block 3, you probably do.
Yeah, I mean, most builds will probably run her. But I mean, just the fact that LSS had to tell us to not play a young hero in a classic constructed event is all that is all you need to know about the power level of that deck. If you are active, and they were actually winning games, it wasn't just for the memes, which I mean, some of it probably was, but I think at one point it was 4-0, 5-0, or something crazy like that in the New Zealand Nats. It's just Spectra is just such a strong axis because you're so hard punished if you ignore it, and if you it's just so costly to get rid of. And at 20 life, if they get 3 auras out there and slap an ode down, you're just in trouble.
Yep. I mean, looking right now at the cards, the card pool for Illusionists, I guess the only one that they might have put in would be Phantasmal Symbiosis. Maybe against that seems like a good silver bullet against Icelander. If you think Icelander or Prism is going to be in terms of, so let's think about this really logically. So Prism versus Prism, that they know that their only popper is Celestial Cataclysm, right? So you play Phantasmal Symbiosis, you'd always name Celestial Cataclysm against a Prism, right? And against Icelander, the only popper they got is Wounded Bull, Fendel's Fighting Spirit. I guess you could be either one, right? I guess I would probably name the one that I saw less copies of, right?
Right.
And if it was even, I would probably name Fendel's Fighting Spirit because there's a slim chance they run the reds and the yellows. So, that card seems like maybe a one of it's a 1 for 6 at yellow, blocks for 3, I mean,
it's definitely a respectable card.
Yeah,
it's definitely a respectable card.
Like in this very particular metagame where you're going to fight against Prism, like I don't know if that's good enough, but I mean, when there's two particular decks to target, like you could also target this with Dash, right? Like Dash has max velocity, but they probably don't want to block with that. But they could have like Throttle or
there's too many cards in Dash to really name one out, so that'd be super risky. But we do have a question in chat from the Tall Timmy, so we can go and hit that real quick. He asked, "Do you think there's a best deck in Blitz?" And first of all, I'd have to say Team. I would have to go with Prism. There's, like I said earlier, there's just too. She has too many tools, and I think Icelander took too much of a hit.
Yeah.
Although I would, as a very close second, I would say Reiner.
I would roughly agree with you. It seems like the current metagame, like, it's very, very difficult to get a deck that is good against Prism and against Icelander because they attack you completely different ways. Somehow Reinhardt's card pool lines up correctly against that, but like other heroes that are like good against one but not good against the other, like I guess a good example of that would be like Briar's pretty good against Prism, right? Overall.
I mean,
but might struggle a little bit against Icelander, depending on the build.
Yeah, it's just, but even Prism, right? Like 1 for 7 go again on a Wartune Herald or a Miraging Metamorph is like, whether I have an embodiment or not. Yeah, like even if I block that, right? Let's say best case scenario, I have like a Force of Nature in hand and another 3 block non-attack, and I cover it up. Well, now I have 2 cards, and next turn you're just going to slap down 2 auras or throw 7 at me again, and we're just back in the same situation, but you're +1 aura. And Prism just has the ability to develop that board state in that way, and then that's not counting the immediate tempo steal of Arclight Sentinel at the right time. So she just has so many tools, and the Spectrum mechanic is just daunting. But also for the camera, I don't know how it's showing up for you, but for me, it's up and down instead of landscape. Is there any way we can get that fixed?
Sure, I'll message them, and I mean they might have rotated it in OBS, but yeah, that would be nice if they could do that. I will message them.
However, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yep. So we can kind of see in our Discord room that they're getting set up for the next game. Looks like we got Dash versus Icelander. That should be fun. We've seen Icelander 3 times, but I think this is actually good for us to see Icelander post BNR. I really do want to see how they're performing without Hypo and Aethervane, but with I guess they also technically lost Aether Flare or Aether Wildfire too, but
that's Shing on Icelander, right? I recognize those sleeves.
That I believe so, yeah.
So he's the Viscera
another player from Blue Plitch. So I guess a lot of people are not going to be super familiar with the teams in Hong Kong, but I would say the premier team in Hong Kong is Team Blue Pitch. Another team that is chock full of really, really good players is Team Gold. They're currently in the I believe they're in division not Division 2, but like Group 2 of the Fab Team Cup. So yeah. Looks like they're looks like it's correct on the stream. So
we'll roll with it. Don't touch it.
We'll roll. Yeah.
And before the game kicks off, Josh, you do have a question from the Tall Timmy in the chat if you want to hit that before this game starts.
All right, let me take a look and see what he said.
I can read it all for you. It says, why is Bolton bad in Blitz, but viable in CC?
So the main reason there is that in Blitz without a sideboard, you can't switch between Raiden and Sabers, and certain matchups like Sabers is very, very, very bad against decks like Prism and against Icelander. Like without a sideboard, you go Saber combo against Prism and they put ALS down, you don't have time snap in your deck, you lose. Not to mention like comboing people with half-life and still the same restrictions on your soul is really tough. Right? So you're basically forced to play Raiden. And Raiden is so dependent on Via the Vanguard. You're more dependent on Via the Vanguard than you're just as dependent as Reiner is on Bloodrush Bellow. Right? So you basically have to like if you don't find V, you lose. And you have to like V into like something good with Helm of the Sharp Eye to have a decent shot. You're basically just playing a too fair aggro deck. So that's kind of why he struggles in Blitz. It's really, really, really important that you have the hybrid plan, and you need enough life to pull off the combo. So, anyways, looks like we have Jack M. I'm not familiar with who that is, but we have Jack, but not Jack Tang. Jack as Dash against Shing playing Icelander. Arguably, this camera looks like worse. Is it just me?
It's farther away. Is yes. On our screen. It looks great on the stream, so the stream is fine. It's just for us, it looks farther away.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, so we got Pounder Dash with Talishar.
Yep, so we're right there.
Yeah. All right, so just going over the equipment here, we got Visitronic Model I, not really used for the effect, just used for the AB2. Tekla Foundry Heart, Goliath Gauntlet, Achilles Accelerator. Very, very standard here from Dash.
There is the rare situation with the Visitronic and how it kind of vibes with BIOS update and how you can now obviously in this matchup that it probably won't apply. There is a situation where you can pop Visitronic and every time you boost, you draw a card and put a card back on top, and you can set that item there for the BIOS update and then boost into what you know is an item to get it into play. That's more of a CC gig, and we're probably not going to see that here, but it's always an option.
Right. Okay, so I mean, as Icelander, when you see a Talishar Pounder Dash, like my first inclination as a Dory player is like, thank you, I'm going to block you out. You are going to lose this game. Good day, sir. But that's because I have 3 blocks galore and 7 armor. 10 armor, I guess, technically. But like Icelander doesn't have that, and I have 20 health, right? So that's like 3 things going against trying to fatigue Dash here. So what type of plan do you think we're going to see?
I think we're gonna. So Ice Eternal here. If you think about it, right? So why would you play an Ice Eternal here? It's obviously not the most productive. It's like he even pitched away a Frost Hex to do it. I think it supports the fatigue strategy because what you're doing is saying next turn on your Tekla Pounder, I'm going to get a counter off of your Tekla Pounder, and you're only going to be able to present at tops 2 attacks because you're going to have like 3 Frostbites or whatever. So I think given this strategy, I think it kind of supports the fatigue side from Xing more than trying to play the value plan.
Okay. So of note, he also has Goliath Gauntlet here. So, I mean, is it just going to be used for Fendel's Fighting Spirit or Wounded Bull, or do you think we might see like Command and Conquer or?
Yeah, I think the first Command and Conquer he sees where he doesn't need to block to present a whole lot of life, he will throw it down. But he's going to wait till the dash kind of sits on an arsenal in the event that it could be a maximum velocity.
Sure. Okay, so dash having to pitch 2 cards there just to get some damage in. And this is using up a pounder charge. And this is like a pretty easy, like just 2-card block here. 2-card block, pitch, send something back, Waning Moon maybe. Or, I mean, you could also get 2-card 7, 2-card 8 with Wounded Bull or Pendle's Fighting Spirit. So, I mean, this feels like a pretty ineffective turn from the dash player.
And to note, the boost card was actually a maximum velocity too. So maybe even if Xing wasn't on the fatigue plan, that is something that's worth looking at and saying, okay, that's no longer in the deck, so maybe that is my avenue out. But we'll see how Xing takes this. The next block's going to tell us a lot of information, because if he just commits the full block here, then it just seems like he's really on the fatigue strategy.
2-card block here from dash. Looks like it's okay. Putting a second rust counter on this Talishard. Not sure if that's okay. It looks like Xing's gonna take it.
We're not fatiguing.
Yeah, he's not. If you this is actually something that a lot of players can, like newer players, can fall trapped into, is like trying to switch mid game between 2 strategies. That, especially if one of those strategies is okay. Looks like with Fendal's Fighting Spirit with Live Gauntlet.
Just 9. Just 2 cards for 9. No big deal.
Yep.
This is
9 and heal. Sounds like 2 cards 10. Sounds good.
2 cards 10, yeah.
Well, looks like dash is like, all right, this Teklo Heart's not gonna get a lot of value. Let's just throw it in front of the 8 here.
If you block from hand while having the Teklo Pounder, you're just asking.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. The quality of the video is kind of low, as pointed out in the chat. They've been kind of switching between different things, trying to figure out something. But it's okay. Nathan and I are experts at recognizing blurry cards, and we can walk you through what's happening in this game anyways. All right, so the Pounder going off on the 3rd charge here. T-Bone here. Gonna have to block with Storm Striders.
Oh, no, not the Storm Striders.
Oh, no, the -1 counter on the Storm Striders. Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, it really has to get that second T-Bone on the chain to really get the effect of it and really get that Cornet Peak or that Tunic.
Yep, exactly. All right, taking 1 there.
All right, looks like we have
some boost card of some sort.
It looks like a 0 for 60, but
it looks like
it's a zipper hit. It's a zipper hit. Yeah.
It banished a 0 to 60. Yep. Okay.
Yep. So assuming that's red or yellow, that'll be 5 or 4, depending, and then 2 floating, which is a perfect curve for a Talishar, but he also has 1 card in hand, so there's actually a lot of possibilities here. We're not out of the woods for a maximum velocity.
I feel like the window of opportunity for using this Goliath Gauntlet on the dash size is actually closing here. Like, it's possible that you don't see a 6 power or a 2-cost card. I guess most of the 2-cost cards are 6 power. So, or you, like, let's say you draw max velocity, like you're at such a low life total, you can't just do it.
Right.
So, I mean, this kind of, like, from a hand reading perspective, like, this kind of leans towards not having a 2-cost boost card in hand, or a max velocity in hand or arsenal.
If you look at the resource curve, right, he has 2 floating, and let's assume that card in hand is a 0 cost. If you pop the Goliath Gauntlet, you're effectively telling Xing what you were trying to do, which gives him a response window to give you a frostbite to shut that down. Right. So that's also something, but that could be countered by the Teklo, the
CLF
Foundry
blocking. Whew. Not every day you see CLF jumping in front of an attack, but
it looked like that was a harpoon in hand, maybe.
Yep, I believe so.
Yep. So that's going to look
Boosting
into Xing's. Yep. Looking at Xing's hand and forcing the block.
Which means this E-strike becomes
nothing.
Man. Oh, that hurts. That hurts so much. Wow. That might be one of the best harpoons I've seen in a while.
Harpoon is just such a good card. And
that's nuts.
polarizes so many matchups because you go into a turn and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna block with these two cards and throw this at them, and then they just take the one card that you needed.
So from the Dasher's perspective, you don't push here, do you?
I would value setting up because that's a dead card and he's not doing anything on your turn.
But here so there was like a little game of poker there. Like Xing could have actually blocked with the E-strike in hand, take 0. But then if he does that, like he could heart into the card from hand into Talishar, push a lot of damage. So he basically had to keep the E-strike in hand. And we see here, looks like he's closing the chain, activating heart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it looks like he's going to try to push something here. What is he thinking about here? Or we're on the heart activation here, right? It looks like.
I believe so, but I mean, there's nothing Xing can really do unless. Well, I mean, we don't know what's in Arsenal. He did fuse it, but I don't remember what it was.
BIOS update, combustible courier.
Do we have the max velocity? Is the question. He needed. Well, it could have not be a maximum velocity. It could just be getting the 2 to Talishar for free like that. It makes sense.
Doesn't feel like it's free Arsenal. Though, but because he's going to block with the E-strike, right? So that's why I was thinking there was like a little mini game there. Yeah.
It's a free damage,
single damage.
Yeah,
but your Talishar is destroyed now, right? I mean, it should be flipped over at this point.
Yeah, I think he's just trading.
Yeah.
But it was one damage in a match that is not going to fatigue anymore. So
that's kind of terrifying. Here we have Goliath Gauntlet being popped here.
It kind of looked like that was a payload in Arsenal, but he wouldn't lead with that, so I could be wrong.
That looks like a BIOS update. I'm not sure.
BIOS update doesn't require pitch, so it
you're right.
Be that. I don't know what that is. Somebody in chat, tell us what that card is. That's got to be a new card. Let me find it.
That's Scramble Pulse. Equipment had -1 while defending this combat chain. 2 for 5.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good when your opponent's almost dead.
That's actually 7. Yeah. Scramble Pulse. Interesting. Okay. Equipment have -1 while defending on this combat chain.
On the whole chain.
Yeah.
And then he's finishing with the payload. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a payload, right?
Yes, I believe that is a.
Yep. So it should be 6 with Dominate, correct? If he's boosted.
Xing is a good player. He had to pick that up. That means that's definitely Scramble Pulse.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know what that is, the red is a 2 for 5, blocks for 3, has boost. Equipment have -1 while defending on this combat chain.
Pretty good.
Pretty good card. That's a pretty good card. Yeah. All right. Looks like we have a Sigil Solace. As you can see, Sigil Solace, pretty popular among the old school players in Hong Kong.
Is that a Frost Hex in Xing's arsenal?
Not sure. He definitely pitched one early.
I could have swore that's what he used to fuse the Ice Eternal in his turn 1. And if it is, then Xing's in a very bad spot because at 4 life, you're never going to be in a situation where you can afford to spend 2 cards to play Frost Hex.
So this might be a situation where we see him try to fatigue. But if you've taken chunks of damage from Dash to deal 10 damage to them, You can't switch.
Exactly. Especially when you can't disrupt from Arsenal at all. So
you don't have to pitch for that card. That looks like a BIOS update, I think.
No, I think that's the same card, the equipment one.
Is that? That could be Scramble
It's a
Pulse, yeah.
0 to 60.
That's a 0 to 60? Oh, on the chain, yes. That's a 0 to 60.
Yeah, on the chain. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So 0 to 60, if it's red, coming in for 4. If it's yellow, it'd be 3.
It's a red 0 to 60.
Red. Okay.
With our, deduction skills and Jackie actually being there, we know all the cards.
That's it. It's the dream team.
Us three.
One out the card for you.
Yeah. We appreciate it. Okay, so 0 to 60 is not. 0 to 60, if it's red, it is presenting 4 here. But you're not in a position where you have to block yet. You still have the Cornet Peak. All right, taking one here. That's a Command and Conquer, right?
Yes, it is. That's the second one, so he's out.
Okay. All right.
It looks like a zipper hit.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a yellow triple hit.
Okay,
so that comes in for 4 as well.
Yep. So we're kind of seeing like the power of breakpoints here.
Mm-hmm.
You do this a couple more times. Like 10 life is fairly comfortable, right? Like you have AB3.
Extremely comfortable, especially when you have a card and 2 resources floating.
Like
and
we're
AB3.
We're kind of seeing just like not having Aether Ice Fan really hurting here.
Right, because that was your only, like, other than Channel Lake Frigid, it's your only, like, max disruption, maybe Blizzard as well, but just not having the ability to just on the fly strip a card no matter what. Because, there was so many turns where I've seen somebody, like, defensively Ice Vein with Storm Striders to stay alive.
Right.
And, especially if you have, like, an Amulet of Ice or something like that.
Yep.
Essentially just robbing the hand in the middle of the turn, and it provides a lot of value.
Yeah, it's kind of like Stalagmite as well. Like it's like you have to play around the fact that Storm Striders could give you a Frostbite, but or put a pay 2 or discard trigger on the stack.
Right.
Looks like Shing's in a tough spot here. It's not exact. If he blocks here, he's basically committed to blocking the whole turn.
Yep.
It's gonna play out
Aether Ice Hail is what that is.
Yeah. Okay.
Or Aether Hail, sorry, not Aether Ice Hail. That is
okay. Looks like Jack is choosing to pay for the damage there.
And I really like the play on Shing to use the Tunic counter, and that frees up a card in hand. Means he's valuing the 3 block on the card in hand over the 3 on the Waning Moon, because he knows he's in a behind position. And so if he can somehow block with 2 cards in Arsenal, Blizzard, or a Channel Lake Frigid or something like that, he might be in a decent spot.
Yeah, he's gonna need, like, he's definitely behind here, but one solid play away from, like, getting back in the game here. Of note, Shing is a little bit more of a what we call a deliberate player. In other words, a judge may come over and say, "Hey, players, I need to see some action here." We've been on this block for a while, but it's an important block, so we'll let it slide here. For those of you who don't know who Shing is, Shing actually got top 16 at Worlds. Very, very, very good player. Very, very, just a great guy all around. I remember back when remember when Viserai got Living Legend, that season.
Yep.
Yeah, I got the pleasure of getting my ass kicked by his Viserai as Kasai during our show match. Yep. And yeah, Shing is on Team Blue pitch. One of the, I'm just gonna say it, the strongest team in Hong Kong at the moment.
I would
Double
make
card
the
blocking
argument.
there.
I'd make
Double
the
card
argument.
blocking to an Arsenal there.
Team Blue Pitch, one of the best teams in the world, is how I would
Yeah.
put it. There's just so much talent in that team,
And they practice a lot.
Oh yeah.
They when they're like, okay, I have a theory on this. They're like, okay, let's go figure out if your theory's right. And they're like, all right, we're gonna run like 20 games. So,
all right, we got a. Is that a cold snap? I can't.
Is this a new card?
It looks like a cold snap. I could be wrong.
It looks like a cold snap. Yes. We'll see if he draws. Yep, he's gonna draw. So it's cold snap.
Yep. Okay. So that freezes the Arsenal.
Yep. Unless he pays one. Which, depending on what that is, may I
think a lot of people underestimate the value on like the Polar Blast and Cold Snap in Icelander. Just getting that free card to Waning Moon for essentially it's Waning Moon and a Frostbite for 1 blue, which is a lot of value.
Cold Snap is not as flashy as like CLF, but Cold Snap does a lot of work.
Right. And that looks like a payload, right? After it, so to be 6 dominate, which is pretty scary when you're at 3.
I mean, you have Cornet Peak. You can go to 1 here. I mean, assuming you also block it with something else, but
okay. So if he does, actually, this is actually a pretty decent spot for Shing. He could block with the Cornet Peak, go to 1, throw a Fighting Spirit or something of that nature on his opponent's turn.
Oh, Sink Below. I think
that's good too. Yeah, that works.
Covering up everything there. 6 on 6.
Okay. So
declining the sink.
Yep. So I would really like a 0 for 7 or 8, or a 2 for 7 or 8 on Shing, and giving up the Arsenal, sure, but you still have the Storm Striders to rely on.
Yep.
If the dash player ever gets too antsy.
I have to say, from watching 3 Icelander games post BNR, this is definitely more interesting. Like,
oh yeah,
and I think this
100%.
is also more skill intensive as well. Like giving them Storm Striders, but taking away some of their tools. Like, all right, chunky attack here.
Yep, that's it.
Probably Wounded Bull. I'm not sure.
It's a Fighting Spirit.
Fighting Spirit. Red Fenris Fighting Spirit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So gaining a life.
That's definitely going to get the last block on the Foundry Heart, and so we're just seeing 6 here. So full block there makes perfect sense. Just trying to stay at a higher life so you don't die to Storm Striders.
So we're probably going to see this go for another 2 turn cycles at least. Like, we're going to have Shing try to get an Arsenal here without taking too much damage here from this 2 card hand here from Dash. All right, boosting here. 0 cost boost card. Yep, probably a T-bone. Looks like the Storm's block again.
So unless the dash player has like a throttle or a payload or something of that nature, it's actually a really good spot for Shing here. Because
okay, we're at 2nd cycle now, I believe, right?
There was one unknown frost hex.
Okay, so maybe we're not at 2nd cycle here.
Yeah,
I guess if we're at 2nd cycle, the dash is out of deck.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
That's
okay.
So that's another zipper hit, and which is good. So, the dash player really has to put on pressure here to get cards.
Yep. So of note here, not having a weapon here is cutting the dash's damage output by so much here.
Oh, absolutely. 2 floating, doing nothing.
Yep. And Shing has full information here, so
it's 1 floating because it's
one
yellow 0 to 60.
Gotcha.
Okay, pitched one. Okay. All right, so he's going to block here. So if this is another 2-card chunky attack,
should be. It should be.
This turn cycle basically resulted in no damage, but Dash losing her arsenal
and 1 armor, and Shing gained a life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot.
That's a very good turn cycle there. All right.
Yep. Look. Okay. Oh yeah, just a
baby 1 damage there, but getting an arsenal here. Okay, so the Dash is in danger here.
Yep.
In a lot of danger here. Like you just have to keep pushing here, but without max velocity, without Talishar, like you're not breaking through Jet probably here.
Blizzard really taxing.
Blizzard. Yep. 3 resource tax here. If this sink below here, is he gonna sink?
Oh, Shing's in a real good spot here because now
Yep.
still has 3 cards, so he can throw a wounded
here.
bull. Yeah, throw a wounded bull, and then Arsenal the other card. Yep, that's a good spot to be in.
Excellent position. Yep. Very, 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 very good position here for our Icelander player. Still has Storm Striders. I mean, as Dash, what do you do here?
I mean, it's kind of a lose-lose situation because obviously you can't take 8. You have to block 1 card, and if you don't even want, you have to block 2 cards basically, or you just out of Storm Striders.
And we're basically seeing a very, very complicated checkmate setup.
Right.
Like Shing has planned this board state 7 turns ago, and we saw him take the necessary steps to get to the position like this. Storm Strider's activation here. That was a very... Oh no, that's a T-bone. Never mind. I was like, Shing, that's really fast of you to just like... What type of hand do you have to Storm Striders ready to go? Okay, this makes more sense. Okay. Polar Blast, I believe.
Yeah, we're just going to see the same thing. We're going to see a 1-card block here, and then on the next attack, we're going to see a 1-card block. He's going to present more damage.
Shing's life has not moved in a negative way for a long time now.
It's moved just up.
just up, yeah. And we're seeing this is a very, very excellent game to like. This is just showcasing how to play Icelander and to set like seeing the path to victory and going for it. Like,
I think the best way to explain it is it really shows the mathematics behind Flesh and Blood and like the vow, just making plays that revolve around the axis of value. It really impacts the game a lot. And there goes.
There we go.
That's it.
GG. Well played from Shing. Almost certainly going up to 3-0 here. No surprise to see a world's top 16 competitor 3-0 at a Battle Hardened, but nonetheless, well done to him. All right. So looks like we got 31 people in the chat. Hello. For those of you just joining us, this is Josh Lau and Nathan Crawford. And we are, commentating the Hong Kong Battle Hardened for you guys. Looks like we pulled up the metagame breakdown again. So we kind of broke it down already last round, but of note, we got a lot of Icelander and Prism. And I would say, sometimes we talk about Flesh and Blood in terms of like pillars, right? So if there are 3 pillars here, it's Icelander, Prism, and Reiner. And one of those pillars is smashing the other 2 pillars.
Yeah.
So, if we could get, if there's a 3-0 Kasai player, I want to see them next round. if possible.
Yeah, I think that I would be very curious of like how they're navigating because the thing about the Kasai matchup into Prism is Kasai typically loads her damage on the second swing, which is the swing that you would typically use to hit an aura if you are trying to manage the board in any type of way. So
like on paper, the 3 pillars are all favorable. Like Kasai is not favored into the 3 pillars. Like you don't have poppers against Prism, and because Blade Runner adds damage to your second attack, you can't deal with Spectras, right? Reiner, you're just not fast enough as Kasai because you have to have a multi-step process to get to your win con. So Reinhardt can just kill you, right? Although you do have a fridge, right? So there's that. And unlike Dorinthia, you can like refresh the boots, and you actually can like use your courage for double times, or for its temper value. And then Icelander, just like Kasai's not running that many blues, but I guess the Kasai could just kind of call the bluff of Icelander and be like, "Here's my fridge." So, looks like we got 2 minutes left in round 3. So we will have the next match coming up soon. Look at that! They fixed the round timer and they fixed the juddering or the stuttering. That's good. Better every day, as I like to say. Yeah, so another thing, Nathan, is Ira. Like, if we have a 3-0 Ira, I'd love to watch a 3-0 Ira. Like, in the past, the decks used to be really, really very, very straightforward on how to build them. But I think nowadays there's actually quite a few ways you can build Ira. I was at the World's Battle Hardened. I played against an Ira, and I was like, because I played against Ira like 400 times or something at this point. Like, I was in my mind like, 1 2 7 1 2 5 1 2 4 1 2 6, right? But I played against an Ira that like caught me off guard. Like, this Ira was running like, this was even before Dynasty, right? Running things like double strike, take the tempo, I guess, is obviously good, right? But like going much, much, much wider than I ever anticipated, and that really caught me off guard. And like, just looking at like, I don't know if all of these would be great, but in Ira, but actually, I don't think any of the new cards are actually good in Ira, except Blazing Yuri, which shout out to our team. That was our spoiler card. It's a good card.
Spoiler. Yep.
Blazing Yuri, very good card. Although
very,
actually,
very niche, but
actually, come to think about it, Ira is actually restricted on deck slots. Actually, she can't actually afford to run that in the sideboard, I think.
Well, that's what happens when you run 3 weapons.
Yeah. Kadachi, Zephyr Needle.
Yep.
And then you have your Tunic, Mask, Breaking Scales, Snaps. That's already 7. Then you have to have your AB. That's 10. You have to have your Gambler's Gloves. That's already 11. That's everything. I guess, of note, I don't think Dennis is in this tournament, Nathan.
Oh no.
Nope. I don't see a KO on this.
That's true. That'd be the giveaway. Yep. There's not one, so he didn't make it.
Dennis, if you're watching, please come back to the US.
Yep.
We will go again.
Again.
Smoothie. We will go again to the smoothie shop. Quite the character, an amazing guy as well. All right, looks like round 3 just finished. So, I mean, with 70 people, when we went to the Ohio Battle Hardened, that was like 120-ish. Actually, like, the routes were going pretty quick because, like, what delay is, right, is one table going to time with a time extension or deck check, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's basically guaranteed to happen at like 400 or 500 person tournaments. At smaller tournaments of like 70-ish, like this Battle Hardened, I think we're gonna have a pretty smooth day in terms of,
Hope so.
Yep.
Give me 2 seconds, Josh. I'll be right back.
Sure, no problem. All right. Let's take a look here at the chat. Pudding Tam says, "Hello, Joe, sir." That is my nickname in Hong Kong. He feels bad can't join the Battle Hard today. That's unfortunate. I know you would have done very, very well. Professor Plywood in the chat says, "I think Icelander should have died there. You can't take game actions in between declaring your defending cards. Icelander declared Striders as a blocking and then took a bunch of actions and blocked more. Just a technicality, and basically I think I think he moved the Striders up there because it's like the T-Bone is doing that. But yeah, you should I hate when people like I'm attacking them and they like put down a card, put down a card, put down a card and say, "Okay, I block for 9." I'm like, "Can you just put them at the same time, please?" Like what's that called? A string bet in poker, right? You put some and then put some and then put some. That's not good.
All right, I'm back.
Yep. Tall Timmy says, "I really enjoyed interacting with the Hong Kong players at the Hyatt during Worlds. Great guys." I agree. Hong Kong actually sent, I think, 13 players to Worlds. So, like, I think we like calculated that like Australia sent 12, and like Australia is a continent, and Hong Kong is a city, right? It's kind of crazy. But yeah. All right. Looks like we have another camera angle change. They're gonna keep us on our toes our whole night, huh?
It looks better for me because now I can it's
Yep.
wider. So
Yep.
with
So
every match,
I mean,
it will get better.
Mhm. Yep. And we have we kind of guess based on the art and the pitch and the effect. We can kind of get there in Hong Kong. I don't think because the event space is rented out there. I don't actually think they even had time to like set up anything. Like Terry told me, like he had like 30 minutes before the
Right.
the event started to set this up. So we got a little bit of a rough stream here, but we're gonna try our best to make everything as good as we can do it. All right. Looks like nope, we're going back to the screen. Okay. So yeah, I like I said, if Jackie or Terry's around, if you can find a 3-0 Ira or Kasai player, we'd love to watch a 3-0 Ira or 3-0 Kasai player.
Okay, we'll try.
Yeah. If you find somebody at the top tables that has an interesting hero, put them on stream. As much as I love Icelander, I think a little bit of variety would be nice. All right.
Always.
Yep. All right. Well, if you are joining us from the US, you are a hardcore fan, just like us. It's gonna be pushing into the wee hours in the morning. This reminds me of a year ago, Nathan.
Oh, that was such a long night.
Man. That was a long night. This night's gonna be pretty long too, but we'll do our best. Yeah. A lot has happened in the last year. And we're kind of at that point where like there's no more big events this year. We're kind of just winding down, right? It's just gonna go to a few armories, get your shitty Christmas gift, and
That's
and call
right.
it a year, right?
That's it.
I mean, I think this year overall has been really, really good for Flesh and Blood. They came out with their OP plan. They're like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. They they said we're gonna have these we're gonna have these 4 tiers of play that has a good lifespan. This was kind of the testing year, right?
Yeah, just look at the decisions, that LSS has made from like the game design standpoint. Everybody remembers, Starvo in kind of like the early day chains, right? And like how that did create, some adverse conditions to play against for sure, and how they've had enough time to implement those lessons learned into the development cycle, and they have just taken that, listened to the feedback, and executed it perfectly. We got a new set. Nobody's broken the game in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Did certain heroes get stronger? Sure. Did certain heroes get weaker? Sure. But at the end of the day, from what we can tell, I mean, out of all the new cards, I think the biggest violator is like Pulse Wave Harpoon, probably. And it is a good card, but like, is it bannable? I think you would like have to actually like come up with like solid reasoning to get rid of that card. So the fact that they've released a set and nothing is like straight up just we could get rid of this card.
I will talk a little bit about that card. I actually think that's what's going to push me off of Bolton and more towards Dory, is because Bolton versus Dash prior to Dynasty was such an easy matchup. But now I think if I
perfect.
that's fine as long as they're 3-0. I don't mind. If you could find a Kasai or an Ira, either one would be good. I mean, watching a Kasai mirror is actually pretty intricate, and that actually could be pretty interesting as well. All right, Kasai versus Kasai, we'll take it. Only one of these will become 4-0. Let's find out. Command and Conquer mat. Ooh, that is the only skirmish mat I don't own. All right. Librarians of Solana says wee hours. This is the middle of the day. Maybe. In
wait a second,
Aussie,
isn't that
New
T?
Zealand.
Is it Librarian Solana? Isn't that T? T lives in the
you're
US.
Right. Yeah. What are you doing, T?
What are you doing? What are you doing awake, T?
What do you mean it's the middle of the day? It's not the middle of the day. It's the middle of the night. All right. Looks like we got a Kasai mirror here. All right. Of note, there are some very, very twisted, sick Kasai players. I ran into a Kasai player that was running white bordered left facing Saber and then left facing cold foil.
That's
Saber.
the best thing I've ever heard.
Don't do that. Do not do that, please. Oh man. I mean, if it doesn't annoy you, you probably should do it because it'll annoy somebody.
Yeah.
Just having the weapons pointing the same way and one being black border, one being white border. Ugh. Tilting. All right, I don't actually know who's on the left, who's on the right. But when they flip their weapons, I'll tell you who I'm rooting for.
It looks like Jerry on the left, and is that pronounced Lang or Lung? Lung.
Yes, Lung.
Lung.
He's
Okay.
Lung. Yeah.
Jerry versus Lung. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Lung.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's dragon in Chinese.
Okay, so we'll call him the dragon. Okay, so
okay.
So the dragon, from our perspective, Nathan, is on the left. On the stream's perspective, is on the right. Okay. So the dragon is running the white bordered Kasai. So the dragon's white bordered Kasai. Jerry, who I believe I remember. Yeah, I remember Jerry from. He used to play a lot of Dory, so it's no surprise seeing him playing Kasai here. All right. Both players not putting their equipment in one stack because it's no surprise. I mean, you might as well flip up your equipment. There's no surprises here. Are they running the same helmet though? They probably are. Okay. Oh, they both get a pass. You see how they both put their weapons on the wrong side and they switched it? I approve of both of these players. They're running white. Look at Dragon running white bordered Kasai, white bordered Centauri Sabers. No problem. I approve. And then Jerry, black bordered Kasai, black bordered Sabers, also approve. Okay, so now, let's talk a little bit about Kasai. Any first thoughts?
This could go depending on. So the length of the match is going to be dictated on the amount of D-reacts the decks are playing. I think that's what it boils down to, because it can go quite the distance. Right. Because obviously both are trying to do like a mid-range game plan of some sort, and I think timely D-reacts can extend the game. And it's really going to come down to copper management. Can you get copper with certain attack reactions while also blocking with enough cards to deny the opponent from gathering copper?
Right. Mm-hmm. All right, so Glint into hit and run here, into swing, 2 cards in hand.
Oh, getting the red Blade Runner and the route.
Yep. That all you got?
That's a good one.
Yep. That is all I got. Okay, so of note, Dragon is playing if he's playing That's All You Got, he's probably playing Sink Below as well. So I mean the attack reacts in Kasai is actually fairly limited. Generally. You're probably running actually with Puncture, maybe with the new Puncture card, maybe you're running more. That's interesting.
Yeah. Typically, in the swing, out for blood, maybe 1 or 2 copies of
Iron Song Response.
Iron Song Response.
Maybe. Yeah, and maybe probably a route or overpower to cap it off, maybe.
Yeah. But I think with Puncture, you actually probably are more inclined to like not play route, not play overpower. Maybe even cut, like, because the resource curve is so nice, you don't actually need Iron Song Response.
Yeah, because we got some new stuff from the Dynasty, so I think there's no more overpower here.
Yep, Puncture is just a really, really good card. And speaking of, okay, so that's not Puncture, that's Run Through. Some those are kind of look the same. Or, into Run Through, into Bracer, into Swing. So in terms of win cons here, let's talk win cons here. So the win con here is if you can hit 6 times with your weapons and play Out for Blood, you probably win the game. Or you hit with Spoils of War active once, you also get to Out for Blood probably.
Right.
So if I was playing Kasai here, I would actually be trying to kind of deny that Spoils of War turn. So it looks like he has a Sink Below here. So I would definitely be kind of holding that Sink Below for his Spoils of War turn if I could. Is that a Sigil?
It looked like a Sink Below. Looked like a Sink Below.
Sink Below. There was definitely a Sink Below, but I'm talking about the other card there.
Oh,
that might have been Glint. I'm not sure.
Okay, it was Glint and Sink.
Yep. Okay, so he's got a That's All You Got. This is actually a matchup that actually can go quite long, now that I think about it, because the Valiant Dynamo is going to delay so much damage here. Becky, can you mute yourself if you're not talking? There's some background noise. Thank you. Okay, so like I said, is that Nourishing Emptiness? That is Nourishing Emptiness. Okay,
it is.
So that's ideally a card you want to use later, and like he doesn't even have to give him his armor here.
No, he's gonna Sink Below from Arsenal, and then that's all you got, and call it a day.
I would not do that. I would actually use my armor here plus cycle my Arsenal. Mainly because the D reacts, you want to use the D-Rex to deny the copper generation from the opponent.
Right.
I like this block a lot better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And then Arsenal that's all you got for the next turn. Yep. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Plus the sink below plus I mean the Courage of Bladehold is not going to get much better value than that, because like even if you're stopping a first Saber Swing with Courage of Bladehold, like they could pump over it pretty easily. So is it Crown versus Skullcap? I can't actually tell.
It does look like that. It looks like the white border's playing Crown and the other one is playing Skullcap.
So that would give a slight advantage, I think, to the Skullcap player here. Okay.
Yep. So
okay,
Blade Runner, and the second one's going to come in hot.
Yep.
So it'll be 3 from the slice and dice, and I think that's a yellow Blade Runner, which is 2 on top of the 2, so that's at least 7.
Yep. Okay, in comes the Skullcap to cover up some of it. I don't like that at all. I really don't like that. So in terms of equipment usage, all those 2 blocks need to be blocking the first Saber, not trying to save life here. The only reason he did that is so the score doesn't look 20-8.
Right.
I mean, or he's like, I'm not going to be below you in life the rest of this game. If you get the block from the Skullcap. But it's like you have 3 2 blocks. So that blocks the first Sword Swing cleanly. And then you have Dynamo plus Skullcap, that blocks as 1. Dynamo plus Braces, that blocks another, and then Dynamo plus Courage. You may or may not use that, but yeah. I mean that's so much denial of the first swing. Yeah. Okay, so I'm
this will get shut down by the that's all you got for sure, or not.
I don't think
Yeah, because that gives 2 copper like right now, right?
Yeah.
And then it'll be a third.
I mean if you're not using it here, I don't know what you're doing here. Like on a Spoils of War turn, that's when you use your D-Reacts. Because you know your opponent only has 2 of them, right? If you have 4 D-Reacts in your deck, they should have no copper from Spoils of War. Ever. Right? And that means you win the race to 6 copper. Which is, I don't want to say that's all this matchup is about, but like you're heavily favored if you get to 6 copper first. He just sink his that's all you got? That doesn't make sense.
Oh, and then so he gets another 2. So he's already at 5 just on this one turn, right?
Yep. So Jerry
actually both swings hit. So does that not mean
that's 6? That's 6. It's
6. So 6 in one turn. Okay.
Yep. So Jerry is already ready to go.
Right. So now Jerry, his game plan, it seems like, is just to keep his life as high as possible, block, Arsenal a good card, and then wait for a blood on our hands. Yeah.
Hey, Sam Yoon's in the chat.
He says up, good Sam? Morning. Yeah, you're right.
Good morning, indeed. Yep. All right. So, I mean, when you're this far behind in copper generation, this is scary here. Run through here. Nice. Double run through. That doesn't. Oh, is that puncture? That's puncture.
Yep.
Come on.
Good counter for Dynamos.
Come on. Hey, warriors, you shouldn't have to read other warriors' cards, right? All right. Anyways, sink below. Excellent card here. Is he gonna sink here?
Yeah, he's looking for that blood on our hands. One card closer.
Yep. All right, this comes in for 4 here. Nice break point here.
Oof. Does he already have it? Playing it on a 3-card hand?
I mean, blood on our hands can be played off 1, so
Yeah.
I mean, if you blood on our hands with 3, that generally means you have an attack react to go with it. Warrior's Valor. Okay, this is almost certainly a red Warrior's Valor here. So if you're running Warrior's Valor, this still is not a case where I would play Iron Song Response, right? Because Kasai's ability lets you swing your second sword for free, so you actually don't need the resources here.
Yeah, it could be out for blood. It could be like a lot of things.
I mean, given the fact that he took the damage there, like this is almost certainly out for blood here, or some 3 pump, right?
Yeah, puncture does it as well, right? It's 1 cost.
Okay, that's another thing. Is like puncture actually probably changes how you block the first attack. Now that I think about it, huh? That's interesting. Very, very interesting. A single card can actually change quite a bit.
Looks like we are going to see a block with the Mentor card because it's a little late in the game to extract all the value out of that. Although if you get that early, it can really provide a lot of value.
I feel like the Mentor card is kind of a trap because it's like so many hoops to jump through and it's low. So did he not hit with that? That's interesting.
Was it a blue valor?
It might have been. All right, here we go. Precision press. Almost certainly this is blue. So precision press gives the sword or dagger go again and piercing 3, piercing 2, or piercing 1. I feel like Kasai has enough go agains that you don't need to run this, but it's probably a bet. Like in terms of blues, you'd run glint, precision press, hit and run, and then you would kind of go from there, right? So, this is not what you want to do ideally. Especially, it looks like he pitched in the swing. So this has to be a red precision press, right? Maybe not. Like if it's a blue precision press, your hand actually doesn't do much. Like in the swing, it needs to be on the second attack. So,
right.
All right. So in comes the Centauri Saber here. Yeah, there's definitely 2 red cards in the pitch zone there because precision press costs 1. Okay, so from Dragon's side, this is a little scary considering the Kasai play did not block your first attack at all.
I think we know what that means.
Yep. I mean, you're not in lethal range here, right? The max you take here is 5. Yep. And then I guess there's a little bit of risk there because if you take 5 and you could dot a blue shunt, right? All right, so full grip here. 16-4, but I think that life total is about to switch. Does not have blood on our hands.
Oh,
actually, hold on. Is there any merit to swinging like this, holding blood in our hands to play in the middle?
No, because you missed the +1 damage.
Yes. And then you have to give it go again in a different way, right?
Yeah, so, there's some situations where you play like a spoils of war and you get the 6th copper off of spoils and you play it after that. That kind of makes sense, but in this situation where he already has it, there's no reason.
Right. All right, so the saber hit. That looks like a red blade runner pitching into the Braveforge bracers. And get a swing. This is going to be for 6 or 7. In come the dynamos. In come 2 warrior cards, most likely to jump in front of this. Is this hand like? I mean, out for blooding here. All right. I mean, I feel like this hand is not the hand you want to take damage for.
Yeah, it's good, but I mean, your win con is blood on her hands, not double attack reaction.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yep. And see, now you
Like-
just got beat to it, and
Yep, exactly. So it looks like we have a blood in our hands for 5 here. So when you do it for 5, generally you if you have a go again card, then you can choose one of them not to have go again. That's generally what I would do as 5, especially considering he has so many cards. He probably had chose from out for blood or out, yeah, blood in her hand. Sorry, and he's gonna give go again to the other saber naturally.
Yep.
Driving blade, jumping in front of their Warrior's Valor. These Kasai builds, I feel, are a little.
whoa, is that in the swing? Because that only works on
That
second
is
attacks.
that could have been his second attack. He could have sabered, right?
Oh
Left side,
yeah,
left
you're right.
side.
Yep, you're right. You're right.
Yep. So now it's the right side coming in here.
Which means
What?
this is the one he needs to provide go again. So we'll probably see a Blade Runner. Yep.
Yep. And this is going to give damage to this attack. No, oh, geez, nourishing. Perfect ending.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good ending. Jeez.
Yep.
That's the stylish ending there. Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting builds from both players. I feel like the Driving Blade, Warrior's Valor is a little outdated, but then again, you have more attack reacts now, so maybe that makes sense. Hard to see. Of note, I'm wondering, like, is Iron Song Pride actually good? Because
No.
Iron Song Pride, hear me out. Iron Song Pride says, so you get a encounter on a sword, and it's a Dawnblade text, but it's on the Centauri Sabers, right? So only one of the swords needs to hit for you to keep that counter.
Are you sure?
Yes.
No, I don't think so. It should be if you have one of your sword doesn't hit, it will be destroyed. Isn't it?
It says at the beginning of your end phase, if a sword has not hit this turn, destroy Iron Song Pride.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
If a sword has not hit this turn, so it's the Dawnblade text, right? So if I put a counter on my left Centauri Saber, I attack you. You'd probably attack with your right sword. 2 or 3. They block. Let's say they don't block that because for some reason, and then you attack with your left hand sword for 3 or 4, and they block that. You still keep your counter. Like it, and it's so powerful going second, right?
But in that event, would it not just be a worse mentor card?
It's an instant. That's the thing. Like, it also bumps the weapon by 1, which is often just enough, right?
But then it doesn't block.
It doesn't block. That's true.
That's how you die.
Well, I mean, as warrior, you can generally get away with 3 non-block cards in your deck, or 2. As Dory, I actually run 4: double sigil, double epot. But yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. I think Iron Song Pride might be worth it. But yeah, I think there's actually so many ways to build Kasai. Yeah. Anyways, that was pretty interesting. Warrior mirrors can always be kind of intricate. Although I feel like that match was kind of decided by like I felt like the defense was a little off that game. I don't know if you got that feeling as well.
Yeah. So using some armor not to cover up a whole thing, they deny the copper and
Right.
a couple action. Cause it really just comes down to that, and like just the fact that the guy won that let the spoils of war hit. That kind of that amazed me in and of itself, because usually that's a very decisive defeat if you let that happen.
Yep. Spoils of war is like already like you can't let them hit twice off that. You just can't.
Right.
Like even no matter how good your hand is, if it's not a game-ending hand.
Okay, Josh.
Yeah.
I just
Yes.
checked the release note for you. For the Ansong Prime, you are correct. At the beginning of your end phase, if no sword have hit this turn, then Ansong Prime will be destroyed. If you control 2 swords and at least one of them hit this turn, Ansong Prime will not be destroyed. Yeah, you're correct.
There we go. Yeah.
Nice.
And it specifies sword in the text. You have to put it on target sword, and it checks. Did a sword hit this turn? There's only two.
So this card. So this card is not good for me because I'm going to. Actually, I build a
dagger
access build drawing here.
Yeah.
So this one is not for me.
Yeah, that's not for you. Of note, this also works on Jubilee. So
no, I just built it myself, but because I just look at some access related cards, and I thought they are quite good, so I just tried to build a text build, access build drawing here.
Well, I can tell you 2 axes is definitely better than 1. The merciless battle axe is really bad. Don't play merciless battle
actually, the deck build is not. It's just quite simple. I just go for all the Prey Runner, hit and 1, and then Spot of War, and clean the Quicksilver,
and spill blood.
Try to put as small as go against you can have.
Yep. Makes sense. You know what I noticed, Nathan? There's no Arachne in the whole tournament.
That sounds correct to me.
Yep.
I wouldn't bring it.
in Blitz, I would not bring it either. Yep. All right. So about 8 minutes left in round 4. We're basically past the halfway point here. We have 7 rounds of Blitz and then a cut to top 8. Jackie, if you look at like the top tables, what type of heroes are you seeing at the top tables?
Okay, let me check. Just a minute.
Nice having somebody at the venue.
It's really convenient.
Yeah, it's like, what's that card? Who's at the top tables? I should have asked him who as well, not just what heroes.
And not a single Briar either. Sad day.
Playing Dash.
Yeah, actually, for the top around 4 tables, we got 3 Team Bluefish here. We got Sing,
Not surprised.
Jack, and Alan. Also,
not
for
surprised.
The top table, we have Calvin Law.
Yeah.
Well, number 1 experience on it for our community.
He also got him and Bun got top 8 at the San Jose Battle Hardened. Yep, they're good. So that's actually going to be an interesting storyline if we ever have a Team Gold versus Team Blue pitch on the feature match. Then I can tell you a little bit about their rivalry. Well, I guess we can take a little bit of a break, Nathan, and come back in like 5 minutes or so.
Sure. Sounds good.
All right, so I'll mute my mic. When you see it unmuted, I'm back.
Sounds good.
All right, chat. We'll be back soon. Don't go anywhere. I mean, go somewhere, but don't like leave. You know, we're coming back. All right, see you in 5.